G'day and welcome to another video. In today's lesson we will learn how to make this really easy, quick, chunky cowl. It can be used as a neck warmer, or you could pretend you're Little Red Riding Hood. You could wear it slouched down around your neck, and this project is really easy to adjust the size of the project, so you don't have to have it as long as what mine is. As you can see, it's pretty long, but you can easily make yours shorter so that it's not so bulky around your neck. So if it's really cold where you live, you're going to want to make a project. It looks like he's going to rob a bank. You can make your project nice and warm. As you can hear, it's summer, cicadas are chirping, so you can wear it any way you like. You could also fold the cowl in half to make it extra thick. So this is a great project for beginners. We use the half double crochet stitch. I will show you how to do that at the beginning of the video. And we're working in the back loops only, which I will also show you how to do. And because you're using 2 strands of yarn and a really thick hook, the project works up super fast. So let's get started on the lesson. We're going to need a pair of scissors, a crochet hook, and 2 strands of yarn. You could make this with 1 strand of yarn, it's completely up to you, but this is a quick and it's nice and thick and great for the cold days, so I'm going to use 2 strands of yarn. I've got 2 strands of 8-ply yarn that is equivalent to double knit yarn in the UK or sports weight yarn in the US and Canada. For the red sample that you see at the beginning of the video, I used 2 strands of worsted weight yarn and I used a 8mm crochet hook. I'm not sure what that is in like the letters. It's quite a big hook, it's very thick, but I'm going to do the demonstration with the 2 strands of 8-ply and a 6mm or a size J hook. I'm going to do the start of this video with the 8-ply, and then I'm going to show you how to join it at the end, and I'm actually going to use the worsted weight. So it doesn't matter what yarn you are using, because I actually made this project the other night and I didn't have all my camera gear set up because we have bushfires going on in Australia at the moment and I didn't want to unpack all my stuff. So that was my little project I made whilst I didn't have the video camera up. So I'm going to demonstrate how to start it with this, and then I will finish off with the worsted weight, but it won't matter what yarn you're using, you're going to do exactly the same thing anyway. So let's grab the yarn and we're going to make a slip knot. We're going to be using 2 strands together in this project, and if your strand of yarns twist, now see how they've crossed over there, it doesn't matter, that's perfectly fine. If they won't stay side by side, they are going to twist and cross over, so that's perfectly fine. You're going to make a slip knot. There are plenty of ways to do this. This is the way I do my slip knot, and I'm sure it's probably one of the harder ways to do it, but this is how I do mine. I wrap the yarn around my finger twice, and these 2 strands here are counted as 1 because we're using them at the same time. I hold both strands, I grab the left one and pull it off and over my finger, then I wrap the yarn again, grab the left one and then pull it up and over my finger. But you can do it the way you want to. Plenty of different ways to do it here on YouTube. So what we're going to do, we are going to make a chain for the width or the height, or whatever you want to call it. So this is going to be, it's going to be the height of it, because it's going to be from just under your chin to your shoulders, so it's the height. So just making a chain, and that's how far we're going to go. Now on my sample, just grab my sample that I was working on. So this one's pretty much finished, I just need to join it together. So I just wanted to show you how to start off, and then I'll show you how to join it with this one. Might even fit in the screen, it's that big. Hang on for 1 second. So my sample is approximately 30 inches across this way, or about, sorry, 30 inches, 30 centimeters across, or 12 inches across. So depending on how long you want yours, so when you've got your two pieces joined together, this is going to be the height, because, whoa, when we spin it around, this is going to be joined over this side, and we're going to create a tube. So this is the height going that way, this is the chain that we are making. I'll just put it back. So I did my chain, and then I sort of held it up next to my neck and pretty much guessed how long I wanted it. Now don't forget that it is going to be, it will slouch down, like it will scrunch down, so you want to make it a little bit longer. I mean, if you want yours not to slouch down, you're going to need to use a smaller hook, so you've got nice tight stitches. But this is going to be a slouchy kind, so you want a really big hook. Just moving my chair in a bit more. So you're going to continue on. Like I said, my example was 30 centimeters or 12 inches. You don't need to count your chains, just keep chaining until you have that measurement. Now mine is quite bulky and quite slouchy, as you could see at the beginning of the video. So if you don't want yours quite so bulky or long, make your chain a little bit shorter. And I will catch up to you when I've finished my chains. So after you've completed your chains, mine is about 20 centimeters long, or about 8 inches. If you want yours bulky like mine, you can make yours the full 30 centimeters, but this is just a sample piece to show you how to start off. We're going to half double crochet in the second chain from the hook. We do not count the chain that is on our hook, so we don't count this one. Number 1 here and number 2 there. We're going to go into the stitch. First of all, we're going to yarn over. Then we're going to go into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through all the stitches on our hook. Yarn over, go into the next chain stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all stitches. I'll show you how to do that 2 more times in slow motion. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through all loops. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, get rid of the fluff, and pull through all stitches. Now if your stitches are coming up really tight and you want it to be a loose and slouchy kind of cowl or neck warmer, use a bigger hook, because if your stitches are tight it's going to come out more firm. That piece of fluff is hanging around. It's going to come out more firm. So if you want it slouchier, use a bigger hook. Or if it's coming out loose and you want it more firm, use a smaller hook. So we're going to half double crochet in each stitch across until we get to the end. So this project is great because you don't need to count your stitches. You are just working on a length. So continue across until you get to the other end. Once you get to the end, we're going to work into our last stitch and then pull through all the loops, just grabbing some more yarn. And now we want to, well, normally when you half double crochet you chain 2 and turn and then work across and you go into the second stitch. Now I find when I work half double crochet, it just doesn't look right. So I cheat, and I'm probably not doing it the way that everybody tells you to do it, but this is how it works for me. So what I do is I chain 1, and that's just to get up to the height of the stitch. You can chain 2 if you have really tight chains, and then normally when you come back across you work into that chain stitch, but we won't. And what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over and go into that first stitch. Normally you'd work over here because your chain would count as your first stitch, but I just find it really hard to find the last stitch with a half double crochet, and mine ends up being all different shapes and not the shape it should be. But on this project, for that ribbed look, we are going to go into the back loops only. So normally you would go into the stitch and go under both loops here, but we're only going into the back loop. So we're going to yarn over, turn your work just slightly towards you to look at the top of your stitches. I'm just going to zoom in just a smidge. And you're going to go into the middle of the V there and pick up the back only. See how the front's here and it's not been picked up? Picking up those, and if you've used 2 strands of yarn, make sure you have picked up the 2 loops, because even though we're going under 1 loop, there's going to be 2 strands there because we're working with 2 strands. We're going to yarn over, pull through, then yarn over and pull through all stitches. And because we're using the back loop, this front loop is going to be left vacant. And see how there's a ridge here which is created when we do a half double crochet? That's going to give you the look of the knitted look, or a little bit like a knitted look anyway. So we're going to yarn over. I've just turned my work towards me, finding that back loop. You're going to go under the 2 strands because we're using 2 strands of yarn, and it's counted as 1 strand. So yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all stitches. Show that again, so going into the back loops only. So the front, see how these front ones have been left vacant? And as you do a few rows, this will start to look really cool. Just going to zoom out slightly now. So working your way across. If you haven't done back loops before, you might feel it a tad strange, but after you've done a few stitches or so, it won't feel as weird. Okay, so we're going to work this all the way across the row. And we are repeating what we are doing on this row for every row of our project. And then we're going to keep going until we have it long enough to wrap around, so that when we join it, it is going to be big enough to go over our head. Because we don't want to make it too short, otherwise we won't get it on. So continue across. I will take measurements of mine and tell you how big I've made mine. So crochet across until we get to the end. Going into the back loops only, I'll show you what to do on your last stitch because it does look a little bit different than the other stitches. So once we get to the end, I've got 2 stitches left, so I'm going to do that one there. And when I work any project that does back loops only, this is only a personal preference, you don't have to do this. I like to work through both loops on the very last stitch. I think it gives it a nicer look because sometimes the back loops can create a huge hole, so I like to go through both. If you want to go through the back loops only, you can, that's completely fine. So you'll go through the back loop with your stitch, but I like to go through both loops. I find that it gives it a nice neat edge. But again, it's just personal preference. And I know you lose that last stitch as like a back loop only where it sticks out, but that's just how I like to do it. So you can do back loops if you like. So next row is completely the same as the last row. So chain 1, turn your work around, yarn over, and we are going into that first stitch through the back loop only, and then complete your stitch and work all the way across. And I'm just going to grab my one that I've already finished and show you the measurements. I may need to move my camera for this one. So this is my completed this is nearly finished. I just have to join it together. This is my completed cowl, and my measurements are, now across the chain, can't even see what I'm doing, across the chain, this is the chain here, my measurements are 13 inches or 33 centimeters. So that's there. And then the width of my project, like the length, did it make sense? The length, the width. Anyway, I kept going until I had so many rows. And that is 20 inches or 51 centimeters, and I completed a total using worsted weight yarn 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26. I completed 30 rows of crochet. So that will give you an idea on how big mine is. But mine is, like I said, quite big and bulky, and slouches down quite a bit. So if you don't want it like that, use less rows and less width. I really, really love the effect of the back loops only with the half double crochet. Now, just hang on one second and I'm going to show you how to join so we have a tube. So I have my cowl and I folded it in half, and as you can see I've got both layers laid like that. So we're going to join across here. I still have my 2 strands of yarn attached. Like I said, it doesn't matter what thickness of yarn you used because the method is exactly the same. We are going to slip stitch through both loops, and then when we turn it inside out, because it's the same on each side, because we've worked and turned our work, so it looks the same on each side. When we turn our work inside out, you can't tell where we joined it. Haha. So it looks like we've worked in the round, but we really haven't, because we're tricky. So grabbing both sections, let me just organise myself. I've got the one with the yarn attached at the front and the other piece at the back. We are going to go through both loops. So the first stitch is always the tricky one. So because we worked with 2 strands of yarn, there's actually going to be 4 strands across the top of our hook. So let's just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. And we're going to slip stitch. So we are going to grab our hook, grab our yarn, sorry, and then pull that through both stitches. We are going to go to the next stitch along. We're going to go under both loops of the first layer and then go under both loops of the back layer. So we're actually going into our chain stitch on the back one. So go into that chain, grabbing your yarn, pulling through both layers, and then pulling through that loop. You don't want to work this too tight, otherwise it will start to crunch up like so. You want it to lay nice and flat. So go into the next stitch, into the first layer, under both loops, go to the back layer, go under both loops, grab your yarn, don't pull tight on your yarn, pull through both layers and then pull through that stitch. And we're going to work across, working into each stitch, making sure we've got both loops. There we go. Going to go under, okay, and I'm going to work a few across. Now I tried to sew this together, I tried all types of joining methods, but when I joined it I lost the look of the back loops only on that section, and it was driving me crazy. It had to look perfect all the way around. I didn't want this ugly bit where it was missing a rib. Alrighty, so when we turn it inside out, because we will be turning it inside out, can you see where we've joined? So we've got a rib here, rib there, and a rib there. Can you see where we've joined it? It's actually here. And it doesn't notice that much, does it? And once it's slouched down, you probably won't even notice it at all. So this little thicker bit here, oops, helps if you can see it. A little thick bit that you've got going on there is going to be on the inside and you won't notice it at all. So we are going to work our way all the way across. And I'll catch up to you when you finish, because I've got quite a bit to go. And I'll see you in just a sec. So once we get across the other side, we should have the same amount of stitches left. If you don't, you've either lost count, added one, subtracted one, or you've joined it and you've missed a stitch, which can happen. Alrighty, so once we've done that, we will chain one, cut off your yarn, leaving about 2 to 3 inches. That's what I normally leave, about that much, just enough to sew in so that it's not going to unravel. So we've done our chain one there, so we're just going to pull the yarn and that will come out there, pull down. You're going to sew in your ends, so you're going to find your needle, and I've got the wrong one, so this is going to be painful. You could use a smaller crochet hook as well. Whoa, it's a miracle, it worked. You could use a smaller crochet hook and you could weave it in with that. That's another way you can do it if you don't have one. So you're going to just weave in and out your stitches. Now some people just cut the yarn straight off, and I think, oh, if that knot comes undone, it's going to unravel your project, and I would hate for that to happen after all those hours of working on something. Once you've done a few inches or centimetres, we're going to work our way back again. And this just secures that yarn in there, and it's not going to come out. And if it does come out, you've got a few inches to work with to sew it back. Cutting that. And then working the same for the other one, and then you're going to turn it inside out. Let me show you where I've joined it. Let's pretend I've already sewn that in. And you can't tell. Woohoo! Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed that. It's an easy project. Works up pretty quick because if you use the 2 strands of yarn. Please share a photo on my Facebook page. We also have Ravelry and Google+. And if you don't have all the social media ones, you can email me a photo of your creation. My email address is in the box below. Thank you for watching again, and until next time, happy crochet!